Good morning, welcome to CATEX TV. Today is Monday, October 10th, 2016. My name is Frank Fortunato. If you want to follow us on Twitter, please go to CATEX TV. Well, the insurance industry and the reinsurance industry is breathing a big sigh of relief as expected losses from Hurricane Matthew are way below what expectations might have been on Friday or on Thursday. Expectations are that the U.S. wind-only claim tally might be well short of $5 billion, with the all-in commercially insured losses unlikely to go beyond the $5 billion mark. This is the storm that finally did strike South Carolina as a Category 1 storm. As I mentioned on Friday, there had been insured loss projections that the storm could in fact cause about $20 billion worth of damage. However, the losses were relatively modest. RMS is saying that modeled loss scenarios for Matthew now showed a U.S. wind-only loss in the range of 2 to 8 billion. CoreLogic is saying between 4 to 6 billion of wind and storm surge loss. The landfall that occurred near McClellanville, South Carolina, on Saturday was the first time for a number of years that a hurricane had actually made landfall in South Carolina. In fact, it was the first time since 2004. The storm then dumped a tremendous amount of rain in South Carolina and in North Carolina. In some cases, more than several feet of water was dumped by the rainfall. Now, of course, what's happening is a threat of severe flooding as the rivers have been inundated, and they're expected to crest today, tomorrow, and into Wednesday. The storm itself has gone out to sea. It is not expected to make that U-turn and head back down to the south as projections on Friday had suggested, so it's going to dissipate. There are some 417,000 national flood insurance policies in force for Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. These policies are supported by the U.S. government, by FEMA, and these will be the policies that will be tapped, no doubt, for flood damage. One other interesting aspect of Matthew was, according to Colorado State University, it was the longest-lived Category 4 hurricane that has formed in October on record and maintained Category 4 strength for 102 hours. In Victoria State in Australia, around the city of Melbourne, tens of thousands of people are without power right now for a second day after storms have battered the area. At least one person was killed as 75-mile-an-hour winds tore across the region. The winds were particularly strong around the international airport at Melbourne, causing the closure of one of the runways, leading to lengthy delays. At least 10 people were killed in the collapse of a group of decrepit homes today in eastern China. These occurred in the city of Wenzhou. Rescue efforts are underway now, mainly by hand, to avoid harming any survivors. The cause of the collapse is under investigation, although reports indicate that the 4 buildings that were involved were built in the 70s by their farmer owners, agricultural people, and were in a highly degraded state. Extra floors have been added over the years, making them between 3 and 5 stories high and weakening their structures. Samsung Electronics has reportedly temporarily suspended production of its Galaxy Note 7 smartphones. Monday's move is a further setback for the technology giant in the midst of its worst ever phone recall. Yonhap News Agency, the South Korean news agency, is reporting that Samsung's decision to halt Note 7 production was done in cooperation with authorities in the U.S. and in China. One observer said, if the Note 7 is allowed to continue production, it could lead to the single greatest act of brand self-destruction in the history of modern technology. This individual, Eric Schipper, brand strategy expert and chairman of Reputation Management Consultants, had told Reuters Samsung should stop the sale of Note 7s and protect the safety of their clients before profits, and ultimately, as a byproduct, protect Samsung. The announcement follows news that T-Mobile and AT&T have stopped offering the phone to their customers. Yesterday, there was a vote by a local labor union of the Teamsters, Teamster Local 1150 up in Stratford, Connecticut, who approved an agreement that will mean less money for future employees of Sikorsky aircraft, but will keep their jobs in Connecticut. Sikorsky is owned by Lockheed Martin, but there had been threats by Lockheed to move the company out of Connecticut because it was simply too costly to operate. Lockheed said it needed $400 million in concessions to stay in the state to build the helicopters. The agreement ensures that the 200 CH-53K helicopters that are on order between now and 2032 will in fact be built in Connecticut. Last night was the second debate between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. It was an increasingly pugilistic affair. You can read all about it, I'm sure, elsewhere. We're not going to bother to cover it. That's the news. It's Columbus Day in the U.S. Many people are not working. However, we are. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.